Will Power making his way through turn number 1 in the Verizon Wireless Chevy-powered Team Penske entry. The two-time and defending pole winner here saw the championship slip through his fingers starting at Baltimore last weekend, which was the penultimate race on the Izod IndyCar Series schedule in 2012. Right now, Markey negotiates through turn number 4. He heads to the chicane in 5, 6, and 7.
Yep, Will Power looking to get red hot, and as we mentioned earlier, Will Power's success toward the close of this season, not only important for him to salvage what has been a forgettable season after failing to win the championship and being in contention late the last 3 years. Make no mistake about it, Will Power winning races, finishing in front of Scott Dixon, makes him a pretty good teammate to Elio Castroneves in his quest to win a title.
On board with Scott Dixon through turn number 2. Great onboard shot for you fans here in the stands at Baltimore as we watch him now working through the hairpin. Pippa, the one thing that we have noticed is Joseph Newgarden has gone to P1 at a minute 18.9022. This track this year has really taken rubber well. We're rubbered up and this track seems to be very grippy in all the right places.
It seems to be fairly grippy, but we haven't quite approached the track record speeds of the previous year, so maybe not quite as much, but it's fairly consistent. It's within about half a second to a second of the track record, I think.
Joseph Newgarden at a minute 18.9022. Let's see what Vautier just laid down. A minute 19.0380 is Vautier. The car was damaged in round number 2 as he made contact with the car that was stopped, the 15 of Graham Rahal, in the tires in turn number 8, but they managed to put the new nose on and the car escaped with no suspension damage. There is Simon Pagenaud as he will now exit the hairpin in turn number 3 currently. He is 6th, but this will be his first real flyer of the session, and he'll come across the line and goes to P3 at a minute 18.9292. So Pippa, with a minute and a half remaining in this session, everyone out there will get at least one more lap.
Everyone out there one more lap, and Tristan Vautier was pushing really hard despite his off in the previous session. He had a lurid slide coming out of turn 4, coming up to the line on that previous lap, so he definitely maybe dropped a tenth or so there. Whenever you get an IndyCar that far sideways, it's not using enough of its power to go forward.
Well, you said we might expect a minute 18 and a half. Will Power did find a little more. Well, Will Power has gone to the top of the charts at a minute 18.1171. So Power now 0.3 of a second clear of Scott Dixon, who is P2. Justin Wilson right now P3. Then Joseph Newgarden, Simon Pagenaud, and Tristan Vautier. Under a minute remaining as Vautier will clear the timing line, and let's see, he'll stay put and at P6 at a minute 19.0380, keeping our eye on Will Power as Power remains the same at a minute 18.1171. Here comes Simon Pagenaud as he will come off of the hairpin, setting up for turn number 4, and Pippa, he will get one more lap, but probably really won't be able to do much with it. He goes to P3 at a minute 18.4460, but having laid down 2 flyers on this set of Firestone Reds, will he be able to get more out of the car this time by? He needs 0.3 of a second.
You know, 0.3 of a second is probably going to be a very big ask for Simon on this last lap, having already taken 2 laps in this session out of those sets of Reds. Will Power laid down an amazing time there with that 18.1. Somebody's going to have to lay down something huge to beat him. Let's see what Dixon has across the line.
He went to the top. Oh, my. Scott Dixon at a minute 18.0838. And behind him in turn 1 is Will Power, as Power will now have to find a quicker lap time than that. So Power, it looked like, had the pole in the bag in a minute 18.117. Oh, and Power just threw the lap away in the hairpin, Pippas. He lost the rear end there on exit.
And Anders Krohn is doing a jig behind me in the radio booth and is poking me in the back because Anders picked for pole. Scott Dixon is now looking like he's going to be pole.
How about that? Clock expires on his final lap. Scott Dixon finds a way to win pole for the 20th time of his Izod IndyCar Series career. A minute 18.0838. So it will be Dixon and Power on the front row. Pagenaud and Wilson will start in row number 2. Newgarden and Vautier in row number 3. Mark, that was a great Firestone Fast 6.